Hello YouTube. I have a few computer technology related things to talk about today, so that's what I'm about to do. Figured I was going to record a few different videos on these things, but I figured it'll be easier and, less drawn out if I just record one large kind of update video on the whole thing. So I have a few things to talk about as referenced in the title, but I think what I'm going to start with is the whole iPhone thing. So as you can see, here is my iPhone 6, of course my 6S. So yeah, the 6S is still doing absolutely fine. Love this phone. I've had it for over 6 months now. It'll be almost a year come September, so that's cool. But yeah, kind of did scuff up my case a little bit, but that's fine. Of course I got the Spigen Slim Armor, pretty nice case. Yeah, love my main phone. But as you can see, here's my iPhone 6. I've had my iPhone 6 for quite a while. It's in pretty good shape, as you can see here, but one unfortunate thing actually did happen before, and that would actually be, I was installing my stereo in my car a while back, and I brought my iPhone 6 up with me after I was done, but I ended up dropping the iPhone 6 basically like right here. I mean, I dropped it from like here onto the floor, but it broke, of course, because it did have this cheap eBay screen on it. So, of course, it kind of just shattered and the LCD died. So, that sucked. This is a cheap non-Apple screen, so kind of sucks. But, yeah, as you can tell, because there's no Apple logo on these cables. But, anyway, yeah, that broke because stupid cheap eBay screens. And so I needed a screen for this phone. So, my buddy Colin, which I'm actually on Skype with right now, but my buddy Colin offered to send me a shattered iPhone 6 screen that he had lying around for the price of shipping, so I figured, okay, I'll try that out. If the cracks aren't too bad, I'll just keep it like that. But I'm about to flip this phone over and you'll see what I mean. Yeah, it's literally destroyed. I don't think this phone is turned on right now. I'll go ahead and power it on. But yeah, as you can see, this screen is absolutely screwed. Of course, there's packing tape over it so you don't cut your fingers, but yeah, this is just about the most screwed up iPhone screen I've ever seen in my life. So yeah, you'll see in a minute how absolutely difficult it is to read. Of course, there's a I made a cutout in the tape for the Touch ID button, but this, of course, is only temporary. I did order a used, it is cracked, another screen for this phone, but it's only cracked right here. And then there's one crack that kind of goes like this and then off to the side. The rest of the screen is perfect. So decided to get that for pretty cheap. That'll fix this phone up just fine. Of course, the phone does still work like this. It's just very difficult to read anything if you want to get up close. Like reading that time's kind of difficult, as you can see there. And yeah, this is just generally not a very good experience. So I do have that screen coming in probably tomorrow night, so I will be fixing that. Probably won't make a video on it though. I actually went to Apple and was just going to have them replace the screen, but since this phone was built out of spare parts, this case was from a water-damaged iPhone, I suppose, because one of the water damage indicators inside was red, and so even though the phone works perfectly fine, they would not service it. So I thought that was kind of stupid, but I understand it's probably for liability reasons of some kind, so that didn't work out, so I decided to just order the screen. Anyway, I also did pick up a silicone case for this phone, so the breakage does not happen again. So I have the blue silicone Apple case, which should protect it enough. You know, this is kind of just an around-the-house phone, so not a real problem there. But yeah, that's the update with the iPhone 6. It should be back in business as a fully functional and non-shattered iPhone pretty soon here, come tomorrow night. Moving on from that, I actually did have a couple of updates on my custom build. You may be able to, I did a video it was actually my last video. I made an update video on this thing, but I have a few more things to talk about. So, as some of you may know or wonder, I did have a Raid Max power supply in here. This is actually the power supply I was talking about. This is a 630 watt Raid Max unit. It's not that great. Of course, it's kind of a firecracker. I don't really trust it that much. So, I decided to go ahead and replace this. Oh, it's an RX 630Z. I was looking for that. But yeah, this thing is from 2010, as you can see. So yeah, pretty old, but I don't really trust the Raid Max. So I decided to go on Craigslist, and I actually found a Corsair TX650. The reason I'm not taking off the side panel, I will get to pretty shortly, but I do have a Corsair TX650 right now. This is an older unit. This one is actually built by Seasonic, so it's a very good quality unit, and it's 650 watts obviously. So yeah, I did put that in, and the computer's running just fine, as you may be able to tell. But I also did some cable management, so you know, I kind of managed those cables there. I tried to do everything the absolute best that I could. I wired up, or I tucked in that fan cable there. I mean, I just tried to make the build look as good as possible because, you know, I mean, I kind of strive for that. So yeah, of course, in case you haven't remembered, I have a 4790K at 4.6 gigahertz on an H100i, which is what's making so much noise right now. And I have 32 gigs of RAM, a 970, and yeah, a gigabyte motherboard, all of that other standard stuff, and of course the TX650. So this computer build is pretty much done. You may notice I do have white LED lighting, and that's why I can't remove the panel, because I have a strip right here. So if I wanted to remove the side panel, I just have to go remove the other side panel, unplug it first, and then I can pull this panel off. But yeah, I had a spare LED light strip, one of those that was on my bookshelf. So I just decided to wire it up to a Molex adapter because it was 12 volt. So I just plugged that in, and bam, LED lighting for literally no cost to me. So that's pretty cool. So yeah, that's pretty much it for the custom build. The build is pretty much complete. I have no other plans to modify it or upgrade it anyway. It's a pretty decent system now. So of course, all I really use it for is to play games. I have my Retina MacBook Pro for everything else. Speaking of which, that computer is over 2 years old now, and it's doing just fine as my main machine, so I'm going to keep using it. So that's that. Of course, it's running Windows 7 right here, which is, you know, just something I'd like to show. So there you go. It's pretty simple, but that is it. I'll go ahead and shut it down, and of course that is an 840 Pro SSD, or 840 Evo, sorry. So it is quite the powerhouse machine. So I'm pretty happy about that. I have a very nice custom build now for pretty comparably cheap compared to how much I've spent on my previous ones. So that's that. And the final thing I'd like to talk about is actually these two laptops. So let me go ahead and grab this MagSafe connector because I am going to turn them on. I guess I'll go ahead and do that now. So I guess the first one I'll talk about is the 2006 MacBook, because you guys already kind of know about this if you've watched the vlogs where I was in Alabama to see Tyler. But yeah, that's that. I'll go ahead and turn this one on because it does take a little while to turn on. I'll go ahead and turn this one on. This is a 2006 Core Duo MacBook. My friend Chris actually does have a video on this. He's actually the one who just gave this machine to me because he didn't have any use for it, and he knows I kind of do like to collect Macs and stuff, so that's decided to just keep it. And you know, it is in pretty good shape for being as old as it is. I decided to go ahead and scrub it down with alcohol, so you know, it does look a lot better than it did when I first got it. It was kind of dirty and grimy at first, but now it works quite well. Of course, I had to plug it in because it does not have a battery, as you may be able to tell, but otherwise it is a fully functional machine. It is the 1.83 gigahertz Core Duo and 2 gigs of RAM, and I believe a 200 gig hard drive. I could be wrong on that. I know it's pretty large for what it is. It might be a 160 gig, I can't remember. But yeah, here's the actual Dell Inspiron 11, which is the other laptop I got recently. Of course, I got this while I was in Alabama visiting Tyler, and here it is. And since this was so cheap, I decided to just keep it, even though I probably really don't have that much of a use for it. It's just a nice little Windows 10 netbook I can keep around the house for whatever reason. Of course, here's the MacBook. It's all booted up. It's running 10.6 Snow Leopard, even though it may look like Mavericks. Decided to just make it look as modern as possible. But we'll go ahead and go into, no, not software update. It's not what I wanted. Let's go into About This Mac. Just take a look at that real quick. That's 2 gigs, 1.83 Core Duo. It's not something to be really proud of. Of course, yeah, that's about it. I don't really have much of a use for this machine either, but it'll just kind of be a collector's item like pretty much everything else I own. Anyway, that is about it for the updates. I really went over everything I wanted to cover in this video, so I hope you all enjoyed watching, and I will see you in the next one.